Hello class 10th. Today we are continuing with chapter 10, the last phase, independence and partition of India 1942 to 47. Today's topic is the Indian Independence Act of 1947. We will discuss the following points. So the objectives of today's topic are the main provisions of the Indian Independence Act of 1947, contribution of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru to the freedom struggle. Now we will discuss some key terms. Number 1, Constituent Assembly. It is a body or assembly of popularly elected representatives which is assembled for the purpose of drafting or adopting constitution or similar document. Number 2, Veto. It means to reject any proposals. Number 3, NWFP. It means the Northwest Frontier Province was a province of a British India and later of Pakistan. The Indian Independence Act of 1947. On the basis of the Mountbatten Plan of 3rd June 1947, the British Parliament passed the Indian Independence Act on 16 July 1947. Following were the main provisions of this act. The British Parliament passed the Indian Independence Act on 16 July 1947. The main provisions of this act are: Number 1, two independent dominions mean territory, namely India and Pakistan, shall be set up on 15 August 1947. Pakistan was to consist of Sindh, Balochistan, NWFP, the West Punjab and East Bengal. Rest of the territories were to be included in India. It provided for the setting up of two independent dominions of India and Pakistan with effect from 15th August 1947 and demarcated the territories of each. Pakistan comprised of East Bengal, West Punjab, Sindh, Balochistan, NWFP. NWFP, the Northwest Frontier Province, was a province of British India and later of Pakistan. India was to comprise all the remaining territories of British India. Number 2, the British government was to have no control over the affairs of the dominions after August 15, 1947 and would transfer all the powers to the assemblies of India and Pakistan. No control over the affairs of the dominions by the British government after 15 August 1947. The powers previously exercised by the British government in India will be transferred to both these states. Number 3. The office of the Viceroy was to end forthwith, means without delay, and replaced by a separate Governor General for each dominion. Each of the dominions was to have a separate Governor General of its own to represent His Majesty's government, but he was to be only a constitutional head and act on the advice of the ministers in all respects. Number 4. The constituent assemblies of both the dominions would frame their respective constitutions and would decide whether to stay with the British Commonwealth or not. The constituent assemblies of India and Pakistan would act as the sovereign legislatures for making laws and for making the constitutions of their countries, and they would decide whether to stay with the British Commonwealth or not. The Constituent Assembly of each dominion shall exercise the power of the central legislatures. Both the dominions will have their own constituent assemblies which will act as their legislatures as well. Number 6. The legislature of each of the new dominions shall have full powers to make laws for that dominion. Both dominions would have sovereign legislatures having full powers to frame laws for their respective countries. No law passed by the British Parliament after 15th August 1947. The right of the king to veto laws was given up. This right was given to the Governor General. Before the Indian Independence Act of 1947, the king was having right to reject any laws passed by the legislature of India. But after passing the Indian Independence Act of 1947, the king lost this power and this right was given to the Governor General. Number 8. Till the new constitution was framed, each of the dominions and all provinces were to be governed in accordance with the Act of 1935. The Act of 1935. The Government of India Act 1935 was an act of the Parliament of the United Kingdom. In this act, abolition of provincial diarchy and introduction of diarchy at centre, and provision for an all India federation with British India territories and princely states. Each dominion and provinces were governed according to the Act 1935 till the new constitution was framed. The states would have the choice to join with either of the dominions or to retain their independence. Paramountcy of Britain over Indian states come to an end on 15th August 1947. The princely states thus became independent and could join either India or Pakistan and even remain free altogether. The Governor General was given the powers to modify, means changes, or adopt the Government of India Act 1935 by March 31st, 1948. The Governor General were to act as constitutional head of provinces, so they were given the powers to modify or adopt the Government of India Act 1935 by March 31st, 1948. The office of the Secretary of State for India was to be abolished, means to put an end. The office of the Secretary of State for India would be abolished. The relations with India and Pakistan would be looked after by the Commonwealth Secretary. Agreement with the tribes of the NWFP were to be negotiated, means arranged by the dominion concerned. The concerned dominion were to be negotiated regarding the agreements with the tribes of the NWFP. The titles of Emperor of India and King of England were dropped, means fall from the royal style. The King of England was to drop the title of King Emperor of India. This act has its own importance. It has been rightly said that the Indian Independence Act of 1947 was a great landmark, means sign, in the Anglo-Indian relations. It was the noblest and the greatest law ever enacted by the British Parliament. About the significance of this act, the then Secretary of State for India remarked, "The bill is unique in the history of legislation of this country. Never before has such a large portion of the world population achieved complete independence through legislation. It marked the end of the British rule in India. India became free on August 15, 1947, but unfortunately it was divided into two parts, India and Pakistan. This act has its own importance. The Governor Generals in both the dominions were made responsible to bring the act in operation. Dominion of India came into being on 15 August 1947. Nehru requested Lord Mountbatten to continue as independent India's first Governor General. Muhammad Ali Jinnah became the first Governor General of independent Pakistan. Thus, the last curtain fell on the British rule over India, and Indian independence was achieved after a lot of struggle, sacrifice, and at heavy price partition of India. The Secretary of State for India remarked about the significance of this act that this act is very unique in the history. He had never seen such a large portion of the world achieving complete independence. Contribution of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru to the freedom struggle. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, 1889 to 1964. He was the most prominent and outstanding hero of the national movement. He was born at Allahabad on November 14, 1889. His father, Pandit Motilal Nehru, was also a great political leader. After his early education in India, he went to England for higher education at the age of 15. He qualified as a barrister, means lawyer, and returned to India in 1912. He started his practice at Allahabad. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru was most prominent and outstanding hero of the national movement. He was born in Allahabad on 14 November 1889. He received his early education at home under private tutors. At the age of 15, he went to England for higher education. He returned to India in 1912 as a qualified barrister and he started his practice at Allahabad. Soon he began to take an active part in the politics of his country and threw himself into the service of his motherland. He was elected president of the Congress in 1929. The annual session of the Congress was held at Lahore in 1929. Under his presidentship, a resolution was passed in this session which declared complete independence as the goal of the Congress. He took an active part in the elections held in 1937. It was due to his efforts that the Congress was able to form ministries in 7 out of the 11 provinces of the British India. For about 30 years, 1917 to 47, Pandit Nehru fought for the liberty of his people and sacrificed his wealth and energy for the freedom of his motherland. He went to jail many a time. He became the vice president of the Viceroy Executive when the interim government was set up in 1946. Soon he threw himself into the service of his motherland. In 1929, Pandit Nehru was elected president of the Lahore session of the Indian National Congress, where complete independence for the country was adopted as the goal. He took an active part in the elections held in 1937. It was just his efforts. Out of 11 provinces, 7 ministries were formed. He worked wholeheartedly in service of our motherland and also sacrificed his wealth and energy for the freedom of the country. In 1946, he also became the vice president of the Viceroy Executive when the interim government was set up. India won freedom in 1947 and Pandit Nehru became the first Prime Minister of India. He acted as the Prime Minister till his death on 27 May 1964. India made all-round progress under his able leadership and guidance. India got freedom in 1947 and Pandit Nehru was the first Prime Minister of Free India till his death on May 27, 1964. India made all-round progress under his guidance. Pandit Nehru possessed, means owned, the qualities of head and heart. He was a true patriot, a great politician, an able statesman, a true democrat, a forceful orator, means speaker, and a famous author. He was a man of international fame, means popularity. Some of his work, like an autobiography, Discovery of India, and Glimpses of World History, are masterpieces of English literature which made him famous in the world. He loved the children very much and they called him Chacha Nehru. Pandit Nehru was a true patriot, great politician, famous author, and many qualities he had possessed. Some of his works, like an autobiography, Discovery of India, etc., are masterpieces of English literature. He was loved by the children, so they called him Chacha Nehru. He is pure as a crystal, means clear, and truthful beyond suspicion. The nation is safe in his hands, and I know this, that when I am gone, he will speak my language. Mahatma Gandhi. According to Mahatma Gandhi, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru has a transparent life just like crystal. The nation is fully safe in his hands and he will work on my footsteps after me. Jawaharlal Nehru made a memorable speech in the Constituent Assembly on the eve of India's independence. That was the Tryst with the Destiny speech. On the eve of India's independence, Jawaharlal Nehru made a memorable speech in the Constituent Assembly, tryst with destiny. He said long years ago we made a tryst with destiny, and now the time comes when we shall redeem our pledge, not wholly or in full measure, but very substantially. At the stroke of the midnight hour on 14th August 1947, when the world sleeps, India will awake to life and freedom. The past is over and it is the future that beckons to us now. That future is not of ease or resting, but of incessant means endless, striving means effort, so that we may fulfill the pledges we have so often taken and the one we shall take today. The service of India means the service of millions who suffer. It means the ending of poverty and ignorance and disease and inequality of opportunity. Tryst with destiny were the words used by Nehru while giving a speech on the eve of India's independence. Literally, tryst with destiny means to make a secret deal with something that is destined for us. Nehru's famous speech reflected the promise of our leaders from the Constitution that would eliminate poverty, disease, ignorance, inequality, hampering the growth and progress of the country. He appeals for disarmament.